Stop. No matter what you're doing right now, stop. What I'm about to say isn't for everyone listening, it's for you. Something happened this morning, maybe yesterday, or maybe in the exact moment you touched this audio. You felt a shift, a change in the atmosphere around you, like a piece of a puzzle you didn't even know you were assembling finally clicked into place. You've been carrying a weight that deep down, you know, isn't yours. It's a weight of responsibility, an expectation of delivery, an urgency for answers that no one around you seems able to articulate. You feel like you're carrying a burden that's bigger than your own life, and that's why silence has been your only real companion. I didn't come here to bring you new information, but to give a name to what you already recognize in spirit. Why is this moment your turning point? Why have the doors you pushed so hard stayed locked, while others seem to walk through open passages without any effort? Today, you're going to understand the real reason behind that blockage and why your apparent stagnation isn't a sign of failure. It's the exact opposite. It's a sign that you're being preserved for a purpose that doesn't fit into the structures you've tried to access until now. Stay with me, because by the end of this conversation, you'll have the clarity you've been quietly seeking over the last few weeks. You've been feeling a kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. It's not physical tiredness, it's a fatigue of the soul. You've noticed that conversations that used to flow naturally now feel hollow, almost dissonant, like you're speaking a different language. People who walked beside you seem to have drifted away, or maybe it's you who, without realizing it, started creating a necessary distance, almost like a defense mechanism against frequencies that no longer resonate with your inner truth. You wake up many times in the middle of the night, with a clarity that during the day seems to dissipate, leaving only the residual feeling that something important was revealed. You feel out of place in time, like you're living in a world that moves too fast while your spirit asks for a slowness that life outside won't allow. These aren't symptoms of being out of sync, these are symptoms of calibration. What you feel as emptiness is actually a space being cleared for something new that can't coexist with the distractions of the past. The distance you feel from people isn't isolation, it's protection. You're being prepared. What you're experiencing is the removal of the surface layers that kept you from accessing your own essence. If even one of these signs touched something inside you, if your shoulders dropped and a deep breath escaped without you noticing, I want you to make a mark right now. Breathe deeply and just receive. It's not just a number, it's the frequency of readiness, the symbol that you're attuned to the call being processed in your life. Your fingers typing these 3 numbers are your way of saying yes to the change that's already underway. It's your small agreement with the truth that is now becoming visible. Type 888 and then come right back to me, because we need to go deeper into the layer just below that. Now that you've made that commitment, we need to look at what's really been holding up that weight. For a long time, you believed that your effort was the main engine of your life. You learned very early on that if you didn't push the doors, they would stay closed. You learned that if you didn't run, you'd fall behind. But the truth that is now starting to emerge beneath the surface of everything you tried to build is that you never failed in your execution. You just operated for years under a frequency that wasn't yours. It was like trying to tune into a radio station that doesn't exist in your area. You adjusted the dials, moved the antenna, spent hours of patience and focus, but noise was all that came back. Not because you didn't know how to work the radio, but because the signal you were searching for was on another layer of existence. You felt like someone trying to climb a mountain using desert gear. The tools you've gathered, the wisdom you've extracted from past experiences, the resilience you've forged in the fire of hardship, all of it is valuable, but it was applied to the wrong place. You didn't fail. You were misdirected by a survival instinct that doesn't let you see the full picture. The pattern is this. You got used to fighting for results instead of aligning with your own nature. And that's why, even when you achieved something, The feeling of contentment never lasted. There was always an emptiness, a rush for something more, a restlessness that pushed you to the next mountain, the next project, the next cycle of exhaustion. Now imagine the image of a hidden garden. All this time when you felt you were being left behind, that opportunities passed you by and landed in the hands of people who seemed less prepared. You weren't being forgotten. You were being cultivated in secret soil, a garden that can't be seen by those who rush down the main avenue. The roots of a tree that will provide shade for generations need to grow in the dark. They need to strengthen themselves in the absence of light, so that when the tree finally breaks the surface, it won't be knocked down by the first storm. Your isolation, your feeling of being out of place, the lack of external recognition, all of that was the necessary darkness for your roots to grow deep. You weren't abandoned, you were preserved. You were kept in a state of active waiting, where what was happening wasn't nothing, but the silent preparation of a structure that will be able to sustain something you still can't even name. If that image of being kept in safe soil, while the roots grew toward your true purpose, touched the place where your doubt usually lives, if you feel that there's finally a logic to the years that seemed lost, I want you to claim that truth now. Not as an answer to a question, but as an affirmation of presence. The simple act of typing these 3 words is your seal of recognition, the confirmation that you stopped fighting against time and accepted that you were, all along, exactly where you were supposed to be. Type, "I am here," and feel how that declaration anchors your consciousness in the exact moment you find yourself in. By accepting that your path was a process of cultivation, not failure, the solution presents itself not as a new task, but as a return to stillness. You don't need to build anything more right now. You don't need to prove your competence to anyone, not even to yourself. The real change happens when you unlearn the need to force reality. It's an unlearning of struggle. It's letting go of the ropes you've been pulling so hard, realizing that in truth you don't need to grip the wheel so tightly anymore. The destination you were designed for isn't something you reach with your hands. It's something you attract through your own frequency of peace and readiness. Stillness is your new strategy, when you allow yourself to just be, without the need to fill the emptiness with more effort. Your true nature begins to radiate. The people around you might not understand this shift. They might try to push you back into the routine of hurry, into the dynamic of constant effort. But now you know. You know that what you lived wasn't a detour. It was the preparation of fertile soil. You're leaving the waiting period and entering the time of manifestation. But that only happens when you stop chasing the wind and start occupying your own space with a presence that can't be explained, only felt. Let go of the hurry. Let the need for external validation be replaced by an internal certainty that doesn't need witnesses to be real. Calm your inner self. Breathe in the peace of someone who understands that the plan is bigger than your current comprehension, and realize that by releasing the weight, you finally become capable of carrying the glory that was being prepared for you. You're not losing anything by slowing your pace. You are, for the first time, walking in step with your own destiny. If you feel that the truth we just touched isn't an opinion, but a recognition of what your soul already knew, let your like be your wordless amen. It's not about a metric or a count for the world to see, but a silent agreement between you and what was revealed here today. When you validate this message that way, you're simply signaling to your own spirit that what was said has found a home, and that you authorize this transformation to continue operating within you. It's a simple, private, and profound gesture, like a seal placed on something precious, ensuring that the frequency reached in these minutes stays alive, even when you return to your daily activities. Take a deep breath now, because there's someone whose face just appeared in your mind. Maybe it's a friend, a family member, or someone who walks beside you in life, but who carries a silence no one else notices. That person has been exhausted from trying so hard. Someone who, like you, feels the doors were locked without explanation. Someone who is secretly searching for meaning in a routine that seems to offer nothing more. That person doesn't need superficial advice or empty words. They need what you just received. Send this message to them, not like someone recommending content, but like someone fulfilling a delivery. You were the receiver, and now you become the channel. What was released to you has a route, and that route necessarily passes through the hands of that person your spirit now recognizes. Don't question why you remembered that name right now. The connections that operate at these levels aren't random, they're orchestrated. And as you do this, as you understand the weight and importance of your mission, realize that your identity is no longer that of the seeker, but that of the one who answers the call. Before we move to the close, you need to take your position. Say it with conviction. It's not a request, not a hope you toss to the wind. It's your signature on the contract of your own life. When you write this, you're declaring that you're no longer a passenger of circumstances, but someone who has understood the sovereignty of your own path. Type "I am that one" and allow your being to integrate that reality definitively. Feel how these 3 words bring a stability you haven't felt in a long time, as if your entire inner structure finally aligns with what was destined to be. You are committed. You are committed to the truth that doesn't bow to haste, nor unravel in the face of appearances. You are commissioned. You have received the authority to inhabit your time, to cultivate your secret garden, and to walk with the certainty of someone who knows exactly why they're here. You are sent. You are sent to be the reflection of this stillness in a world that screams, to be the living proof that when God hides something from everyone, he does it only to ensure that the revelation arrives at the right time to those who have ears to hear. You are no longer running anywhere. You are finally in the place where you were meant to be from the beginning, prepared to carry everything that has been entrusted to your hands. In this very moment, as you read these words, know that there is a vast, invisible network of people who, like you, have begun to feel this same vibration, this same call to what is essential. It's not a loud crowd or a movement that seeks the spotlight, but a silent insurgency, an awakening of souls who decided to stop fighting the flow and started walking in step with purpose. Everywhere in big cities and forgotten villages, individuals like you are waking up to the reality that your life is not a sequence of accumulated mistakes, but a process of deep refinement that has finally reached its stage of revelation. You are part of this group of people who don't need external recognition to know who they are, because the seal of your identity has already been placed in the deepest part of your chest. And when I say this makes no noise, I mean that your greatest power is not in explaining yourself to those who can't hear, nor in trying to convince the world of your new frequency. The greatest power is in your stillness, in your ability to keep a steady pace while others are still running in circles. That's what most call loneliness, but we know it's actually your closest proximity to truth. It's an awakening that happens in the dead of night, in the routine that seemed monotonous and that now transforms into a training ground for your spirit. You are not alone in your search, and you are not isolated in your perception that something much bigger is happening behind the curtains of everyday life. There is a secret communion taking place, an exchange of energies that crosses time and space, uniting those who have been chosen to see what ordinary eyes ignore. This awareness is your foundation. It is the proof that you didn't walk here by chance, and that every moment of doubt, every night of questioning, and every instant of forced silence were, in truth, preparations for this very day. Look back only to recognize the precision of the path you traveled, and look forward with the security of someone who has finally understood the rules of the game. Your life is a reflection of this truth, and your existence is proof that God keeps his promises, even when he chooses to hide them from everyone else, to ensure they flourish exclusively in your soil, under your care, and in your time. Maintain this posture. Preserve this stillness. Don't let external noise subtract the clarity you've earned with so much effort. You are exactly where you should be, and every step you take from now on will be a step of someone who walks with the authority of one who has been found. What happened in your life wasn't abandonment. It was protection. What was taken from you wasn't a loss. It was an adjustment of your load, so you could run your race with the necessary lightness. And above all, what you are living now is not a coincidence. It's the harvest of a seed that was planted in your spirit before you were even aware of your own journey. This is your moment. This is your time. Feel how the weight of previous years begins to dissolve, leaving behind only the essence of what truly matters. You are ready, not because you prepared yourself, but because you were prepared by life itself, which never forgot who you are. Receive this clarity as a gift, as a key that opens doors you didn't even know were locked. Your commitment now is to your own truth, to your own calling, and to the peace that surpasses all human understanding. You are being led by a hand that never fails, toward a destiny that was designed specifically for your measurements. Don't be in a hurry, because hurry belongs to the world that doesn't know its own destiny. You, however, already know the way. You already recognize the voice that guides you, and by recognizing it you become unshakable. Remain in this state of readiness, of listening, of absolute trust. What lies ahead of you is greater than everything you left behind, and the clarity that now lives in you is the light that will illuminate the path not only for you, but for all those who, through your life, will also find the courage to awaken. Feel the complete alignment between what you think, what you feel, and what you manifest in the physical world. Everything is in its rightful place. Everything that was hidden is now being revealed, and you are the guardian of that truth. Walk with this awareness. Let it guide every decision, every thought, every gesture, because from now on, your life is no longer a trial, it is a confirmation. And that confirmation is everything you needed to move forward. Everything is resolved. Do you notice how the air around you seems to have changed in density, as if the environment has finally tuned into the frequency you carry? That feeling of being out of place isn't a detour. It's proof that you've started to inhabit a dimension that the people around you still can't see. For years, you tried to adjust to the forms, the expectations, and the rhythms imposed by a world that privileges noise, ignoring that your calling demands above all silence. Many times, you felt exhausted, not from a lack of energy, but from wasting your light in places that had no receptacle for it. The withdrawal from people, the loss of interest in conversations that once seemed vital, and even the changes in your sleep cycles are symptoms of a deep recalibration your being is undergoing. What you interpret as loneliness is actually a state of protection. What you call a lack of direction is just the necessary interval for the new map, written especially for you to be assimilated by your consciousness. If even one of these signs, if even that weight you carry on your shoulders has just found an echo in your own story, I want you to pause for a second. Just breathe. Your readiness is the key that opens the door to what comes next. It's not just a number, it's the frequency that announces the end of scarcity and the beginning of a harvest you won't need to force. By typing those digits, you are declaring that you are attentive, that you are open, and that you have accepted the invitation to leave the zone of effort and enter the zone of revelation. Type 888, and then come right back to me. The pattern you've operated under until now is a survival mechanism that no longer serves your new stage. You spent a long time trying to sustain structures that had no foundation. The exhaustion you felt didn't come from work. It came from resisting the acceptance that your time on that route had come to an end. What you need to understand now is that your identity was never anchored in visible achievements, but in the authority you carry silently within you. Your life is like a hidden garden that for a long time remained at rest. While the world outside stirred in search of immediate harvests, your soil was being prepared, fertilized, and protected by the invisible hand that guides your steps. That silent preparation is what kept you from getting lost in false promises of shortcuts. You were kept in waiting, not as a punishment, but as a jewel that needs a controlled environment to reveal its maximum brilliance. Let that declaration plant your feet firmly on the ground of the present. Your presence is your greatest tool, and by recognizing it, you cease to be a passenger of chance and become the captain of your destiny. Type "I am here" and return. The solution to the anxiety you brought here isn't to do more. It's to be more present. You don't need to seek approval from the outside, because what you carry isn't something the world can give or take away. The unlearning of struggle begins when you understand that at your level, life isn't a conquest, but a manifestation. Stop trying to force doors that insist on staying closed. They aren't closed because you aren't capable. They're closed because they don't belong to the path your spirit has already recognized as your own. There's a garden that was cultivated especially for you, where the fruit grows without the need for exhaustion, where what is yours arrives at the right time. If you feel that the truth touched here today is a reflection of what your heart has already whispered during sleepless nights, let your like be your wordless amen. Don't look for metrics, look only for the seal of your agreement with what was revealed. That gesture is the confirmation that clarity has replaced doubt. And as you settle into this new awareness, remember that we aren't just talking about you. There's someone in your circle, someone you observe often, whose silent struggle mirrors your own. That person who, despite all their effort, feels like they're swimming against an invisible tide. Someone who keeps their head up, but whose eyes betray a soul-deep exhaustion no one else can see. That person needs to hear what you heard. The face that just came to mind isn't there by accident. Send this content to them, not as someone pointing out a path, but as someone delivering a message that was entrusted to you for a very specific reason. Be the instrument that carries the relief you just found. Now, in the final stretch of this encounter, I want you to stand firm in your identity. You are no longer the one who seeks. You are the one who has been found. Before we go on, type the phrase "I am" in the comments below. Feel the weight of each word as your fingers form the declaration. This isn't a hope, it's an affirmation of your position. You are where you should be. You are who you should be. You are the bearer of this revelation that, from today onward, alters the trajectory of your entire story. The alignment is complete. From now on, you live under the authority of your own truth, in a peace that does not depend on external circumstances. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. Right now, in every corner of this world, other beings are awakening to the same reality, forming an invisible network of consciousness that